Good morning. Welcome to Hot Girl Summer. To my channel. I hope you are doing well. Today I'm going to talk about my recommendations for Hot Girl Summer. And if you have been on TikTok, addicted to TikTok throughout the pandemic like me, you might know about Hot Girl Summer. For me, Hot Girl Summer is bettering yourself as a person and enjoying your life after what has happened. The event that shall not be named. So I have some book recommendations. And the first book I have, I feel like is the ultimate Hot Girl Summer book. It has romance, it's coming of age, it has complicated and flawed characters that you just fall in love with even though they're super flawed. It's set in Ireland. And that book is Normal People by Rooney. This book is just like breaks your heart, gives you butterflies, makes you remember when you were 17 and in love or whatever, or didn't know what you wanted to do with your life. I think this is an amazing book. Think about your emotions in your life and relationships, and I think it's great even if you're in a relationship and in love, or if you've gone through a heartbreak, because it really has everything. Also, if you're a Swiftie, the internet has said that Taylor Swift based the 3 songs Betty, Cardigan, and August off of this book. And I would say the first third of the book is very much, you can definitely see where she's coming from. And I would also recommend listening to Folklore with this book. So I'm going to recommend a classic, and this is something that you have probably read in high school, but I would really recommend a reread or a read if you haven't read it before of The Great Gatsby by Zelda Fitzgerald. And it is because I think the first time, I think a lot of people read it when they're like 15, 16, it seems like there's this glorification of wealth and classism. But if you can reread it and maybe with a more mature lens, you can see the critiques, and it's really interesting to pull apart some of the toxic relationships. And it's also a great summer read. There's the pool, there's parties, it's fun. It also does make you think. So I think it's a great hot girl summer read. And also you always sound really smart when you quote Great Gatsby, I feel like. So there you go. So the next 2 books I'm going to recommend are great for planes. I think you can get through them really fast, travel through the book. So if you're not able to travel this summer, you can travel through reading. The first one is The Midnight Library. First of all, trigger warning for unaliving yourself at the beginning of the book. It is not too graphic, but just so you know if that's gonna be harmful for you, maybe don't read this book. The main character of this book is a 35-year-old woman named Nora, and she really regrets a lot of the decisions she's made in her life. and she decides to unalive herself and comes to this place called the Midnight Library, in which she can go to different books, and each book is where she had made a different decision than her original life, and she can go to that life, and she's at that life sometimes for 30 minutes, sometimes for days, and then goes back to the library. So she can see what her life would be if she made different decisions. So sometimes, some places she's a rock star, some places she works on like a research whaling ship. It's really fun book. It also makes you think. There's some philosophy in it. There's some physics. So there's really something for everyone. If you've seen the show The Good Place, I think you would like, and if you liked it, you would like this book. There's some familiar themes in the book from like The Good Place. Next book, I believe, is really nice for traveling, whether you're on a train, a plane, whatever, is The Secret Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. And this book begins in 1714 France on Addie LaRue's wedding day. And she is being forced into a marriage she does not want to be in. All she wants and all she has ever wanted is freedom to travel and have the own life that she wants to get out of her small village. And on her wedding day, Addie LaRue goes out to the forest and she prays to any god that will listen to her, and she begs for freedom. And the god that does listen to her, as the sun is setting, that comes, is the god of darkness. Some would say the devil. And there's a deal. And she has this blessing or curse that falls upon her, that Addie LaRue is now immortal, but everyone from her life has forgotten about her. Every time they leave the room, or she leaves the room or doesn't see her anymore, they completely forget about her. She cannot say her name. She cannot tell her story. And this follows from the 1714 to present day. And at present day, 200-ish years later, 300 years later, she meets a man named Henry at a bookstore, and he can remember her. So this is a great story. It has romance, travel, a little bit of magic. The next two books I'm going to recommend are both nonfiction and great for the beach. The first one I'm recommending is How to Be a Good Creature, a Memoir of 13 Animals by Montgomery. And honestly, I would recommend any book by Montgomery. She's an amazing author writing about animals. She follows, it's like her relationships with different animals. One's a pig, I think there's an octopus. It's a really beautiful short stories about these animals. Very poetic. It has some illustrations. It's great for the beach because it's short stories. You can kind of finish one. It's not too heavy, but it's really just beautiful. It makes you appreciate nature. It makes you want to get a pig. So trigger. So warning. It makes you want to like adopt like a zoo. So if you ever wanted to be a marine biologist when you were younger, like I did, you need to read this next book. I think it's so cute. It's really light. It has wonderful illustrative writing of the ocean. And this book is Grayson by Lean Cox, who is a swimmer. And it tells her story of when she was swimming on the ocean, just doing her morning swimming routine, which I think is insane to have a morning routine in which you swim in the ocean. But she was swimming in the ocean and she found a baby whale that was separated from its mother, and she helped guide that whale to its mother. And that's just the story. It's a very short book, but I think when you're at the beach, you can really imagine, you really feel like you're there. So I think I want to reread this book when I'm at the beach someday. I'm in Kansas, so I don't know. When is that? that's gonna happen. It's very light and nice. It's middle grade, so the writing is pretty easy to get through. You can definitely get through it in like one trip to the beach. It's also a great gift for middle schooler kid who loves marine biology or loves whales or anything like that. So that is Grayson. This is a beluga whale. I think it was a gray whale. I don't know. The last book that I recommend for your hot girl summer is a classic. You might not have read it in high school, but it is A Room with a View. It follows Lucy, who lives in England, but she goes with her older, more boring, plain cousin, Charlotte, to Florence, Italy. And on this trip, I believe it's during the summer, her mind really opens to what's out there, and it's kind of like a coming of age. She meets these really odd characters. She meets Mr. Emerson and his son, George, who don't really fit in this kind of upper class, elitists, just like by the book English people. They kind of have their own views on things. And they kind of can tell that Lucy also is starting to have her own views on things as well. It follows her during that time, and then it splits when she goes back to England. She's changed in some way, but she doesn't really know or can communicate how. But there's a lot of beautiful writing, there's satire, that feeling you get when you're visiting somewhere and you feel changed afterwards, but you don't know how to say. And when you come home, things don't quite fit as well as they used to. And there's a little romance as well. Leave a comment what you're gonna read this summer, what you're excited about, and subscribe. See you later.